On today's exploration of video game pirating and culture, we have the bootleg CD called PowerPlay 33. And right from the poorly printed front cover, you can see it features Hidden and Dangerous, Kingpin, and Outcast. But that's not all the titles it features. So if you want to find out everything this 24-year-old disc contains, stick around. Seeing as how I couldn't really do the same spiel from the first video about me not having an optical drive anymore and seeing if the disc still works, I decided to get an honest to goodness optical drive. Because I don't know how much more life my wife's old ass laptop has in it. And since I'm obviously holding an internal drive, this means a montage. Both the DVD and the disc still work, but interestingly enough about the disc, when the drive reads it, it doesn't say PowerPlay 33. It said games with a Z 54, which only makes me think there's at least 53 other discs in this series, and I kinda want them all now. I imaged the disc, but it does not contain any hidden extras. On occasion, these discs would contain some extra stuff. Could be music, pictures of some sort, sometimes hidden extra games. And this is one of the reasons why I find exploring these discs so interesting, because you never really know if you're gonna get what's on the tin. In this situation, they don't have the same title. Another reason is related to this exploration of the unknown and forgotten, discovering or rediscovering fairly obscure titles from the era. This happened in the last episode, where I stumbled upon Mortir and Street Wars, and I'm pretty sure we'll get some interesting finds now as well, because these three titles on the front are only half of the total number of games present on the disc, and in the spirit of you experiencing the disc more, I'll turn it around so you can see those titles as well. In the meanwhile, if you're still watching, please don't forget to like the video. We start off with Black Moon Chronicles from Cryo, of which I have no idea what it is. Then there's Dragon's Challenge from Expert/RH, of which I have even less of an idea, because I've at least heard of Cryo. They made Dune 1, which I covered recently. Then we have Hidden Dangerous from Take-Two. That title is familiar, and I think it is some sort of shooter. Then there's Kingpin, which I'm sure is a first-person shooter. Outcast, which some years back received a sort of refresh, not a remake, is a third-person shooter. And we close things off with Unreal Return to Pali, which is the expansion to Unreal. I imagine I don't have to explain Unreal to you. So instead of trying to get this to run from the disc, which is what I did last time, and by the way, yes, of course I read all the comments and suggestions about virtual machines and such, but truth of the matter is, I'm kinda lazy. So instead, what I'll do is I'll look for the games either on GOG or on abandonware websites, you know, like you do. Thankfully, 5 of the titles can be found on GOG, and I can take my time with shooting these videos, so I could wait to get them all on sale. I'm not made out of money after all, but if you'd want to help with that, then checking out my Patreon would be great. So the plan is to get the games and then play them all for like an hour or so that I can give you a super quick first impression of what they are and how they work, because I have very vague ideas of how maybe just some of these actually work. And I'll start from the bottom up, just so that, you know, we can create a little bit of build up towards the final 2 titles that I have no idea about. Unreal Return to Pali. I'm running the Unreal Gold version from GOG, since it includes Return to Pali, and as it usually happens with older games, it needs a bit of finicking around in order to get it to run as one would like them to run nowadays, even with the GOG version. It's Unreal. You walk, jump, pick up, and first person shoot shit, while exploring the world, reading journal entries, and solving the odd puzzle it seems. The music is pretty dope, has a particular 80s action movie synthy feel to it, and the sound effects for hits and explosions are cool as well. They feel like they pack a punch. While first-person shooters aren't exactly my particular brand of nonsense, I can kinda see why Unreal caught the imagination of people at the time. And a quick note of personal history, Unreal was actually on the cover of the very first PC gaming magazine I ever bought. Outcast is a special situation because it was remastered back in 2014 by the same developers using the original source code but with some modern day sprucing up. This version is called Outcast 1.1 and works on modern systems with no real problems or lots of finicking about. The game itself seems to have boilerplate writing for a 90s B-grade action movie. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. However, what was it with games of this era that made them all kinda start with short movie-length intro cinematics? This one starts with an almost 9-minute video to then go into a 5-minute info dumpy cutscene. So you're not playing the game for the first 14 minutes. After the tutorial, you can start playing the game proper, but I tried and just couldn't really make heads or tails of it. So I decided to go the extra mile and downloaded and installed Outcast Classic, thinking maybe the OG experience would be better. In some aspects, it might be. Things look a bit better with their jagged edges, I think, and the closer up camera makes it feel different. It still did not function properly, and unfortunately, it was still the same game from a mechanic standpoint. Really not for me, but if it is for you, then more power to you. I would probably not enjoy this game even if I got it to run it smoothly. Kingpin, Life of Crime. Man, these late 90s action games really went with the most basic as fuck stories and characterizations. These visuals might not be the best you get, by the way. I have seen much better looking footage of the game on the YouTubes. But again, the purpose here isn't to play the entirety of the game, so I don't need it to look as good as it could. What I needed to do is function as close to originally intended as possible. So in the case of Kingpin, I went into it thinking it's a first-person shooter, and it sort of is, but not at the beginning at least. At the beginning, honestly, it feels more like a stealth game, considering you have to ask random bystanders to know what to do, and you have to wait for various cues to avoid guards and such. Similarly, it has different damage being inflicted depending on the body part you hit, so that's pretty cool. While I don't know if the game's writing improves over its length, I can see that where it does seem to excel is mechanically, at least for the time. You can interact with those around you with either a positive or a negative button, so depending on the context, those can either be yes or no or some sort of greeting or insult. Similarly, you can, at a certain point, hire people to help you with various dastardly deeds. So Kingpin is definitely not your usual first-person shooter indeed. I should also mention the soundtrack was created by Cypress Hill, and this means it's not only of the time, but pretty cool, depending on your affinity for late 90s hippity hop. Kingpin is another title I wouldn't be interested then or now, to be honest. However, if Kingpin was your jam, then you might want to know that a remake or a remaster of Kingpin was announced in 2020, but no release date has been announced yet. Hidden and Dangerous. The GOG version of this game looks by far the best out of all the titles till now, requiring no extra setting up and configuring to get it to work. The game seems to be fairly interesting, and it is not a shooter in the traditional sense. It is in fact a squad-based real-time tactics game, which really made me think of a third-person Jagged Alliance than anything else. Your troops have stats, you can customize their loadout, likewise you select from a large pool of troops, and out of these ones you get to use only 4 in each campaign. There is permadeath and moving while crouched and prone. I gotta say, this is most likely something that I would have enjoyed back then if I had a computer capable of running it. Dragon's Challenge is indeed the right title for this game because I could not find it through any of my abandonware or high seas sources. The only place I could find it is on eBay, and despite the super low price, the shipping and import charges would make it by far the most expensive game I've ever bought. So what I did is I went the extra mile again and tried to install the version on the disk. This time I copied the folder on my hard drive, as was tradition, unpacked the archive and attempted to run both the install and setup executables with compatibility set to Windows 98 as well, but unfortunately it was not meant to be. From what I gather, Dragon's Challenge is a sort of Mahjong style game, if that's how you pronounce it, and it's now firmly on the list of physical things I want in my collection. Not because I want to play it, mind you, just because now there is a direct connection there. Black Moon Chronicles starts with a text scroll, not even a narrated text scroll, which tells us there's 4 factions at war in some realm. The game seems to be a very weird RTS, which does little to nothing to introduce you to its gameplay mechanics. You can read what the keyboard shortcuts are, and that's about it. Control is overall weird, and with no information about the units or a steady introduction of what they do and how they function, it's a steep learning curve to say the least. Not to mention that I did not find a way to save a game. I'm sure there is one, but I just couldn't be asked to look that deep into it. I mean, this was released in 1999, but I'm not even gonna compare it with StarCraft, which was released in 98, nor Age of Empires 1, which was released in 1997. No, Warcraft 2's basically everything is miles ahead and above this one. Interesting trivia side note. Black Moon Chronicles is apparently based on a dark fantasy French comic book, which we tend to call bande dessinée in the more francophone countries. I want to hear from you now. Do you have any memories related to these games or other similar pirate compilation discs? Please share them in the comments. I've been Steven Ansons. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.